Everybody, welcome back to Music Meltdown. We are at 1997. My least favorite year is
No, no, 1977.
oh yes, we've made it. We time traveled there. Nope,
Yeah,
1977. Well, I mean, 97 by default is our least favorite year of the 70s. It's not
it's
even
gonna.
in the 70s. Nope, 1977. This is my least favorite year of the 70s. You got like post punk starting out, new wave really blossoming. Really, a lot of the stuff that I'm really into in this decade kind of dying down by this point. Still got 10 records I'm going to bring up to you. Five that I really enjoy. Well, four that I really enjoy. One that I threw in there. Patrick, 77, your perspective.
77, I think, is a better year than 76. I like it. And I've got a wide variety. We're gonna get into post punk for sure. It's coming. Um, you're even wearing a sweatshirt with a post punk icon on it. So, yep. So, we're getting there very shortly. And we will be talking about. I will be talking about at least one post punk band. I have at least one of them um on my list.
Alrighty. Well, some of my honorable mentions here. I don't really love a lot of these records. It's just I'm sort of strapped for choice. I got six 4 stars on here and then four, 4.5 for the year. My runner ups, I got ABBA, the album, my favorite ABBA record. Just really fun pop music, nothing more to say. Not the biggest power pop fan, but I do really like the debut Cheap Trick record. That's another one. I started diverging a little bit to slightly punk. I got Radis Norvegicus by the Stranglers. This one really, for whatever reason, snuck in here for as an honorable mention. Got the Grand Illusion by Styx. By far the best thing that this band ever did. Really good record, I think. Slightly proggy, but definitely still has that popping sensibility. Really like Tommy Shaw as a vocalist, though. Then my last honorable mention, I'm going with Ha 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 by Ultravox. Once again, just pretty solid post punk. Nothing much more to add. My top five, fifth one, going with Deceptive Bends by 10cc. I just really like 10cc. This is whenever the band sort of split in two. I just think of this, you get some really good pop songs, some really fun, catchy, memorable stuff all throughout. Not much more to add. Just really good. After then, I mean, come on, it's showing up. To Rumors, not my favorite Fleetwood Mac record, but it's right up there. Just outstanding pop work. Really, my only slight issue with it is I think it's kind of weirdly sequenced at points, but it's still really good. So
Hmm.
it's like nothing wrong with that. Just brilliant pop record. Another brilliant pop esque record out of the blue. But this is essentially ELO's Songs in the Key of Life, their white album, them just going all over the place across all the styles that they do and just doing it brilliantly. Arguably the band's highest point. I think it only had fourth when we did ELO, but still 4.5 stars, still outstanding.
That has turned to stone. That's
Yep,
fucking
yep.
fantastic
Opener. People always talk about Rumors being the big pop album of the year. I think this one kind of gets overshadowed for some reason. The Stranger, Billy Joel. I mean, this is just an outstanding pop album front to back. You got Moving Out, of course. The Stranger is great, just the way you are. Vienna is a beautiful song. Really, this would be my winner, except I really don't like the closer. I don't like Everybody Has a Dream at all. It's just superly over ornate and syrupy. Just really annoying song. And by process of elimination, I do love this record a lot, but it does become my winner. Got Exodus by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Just a really cool, great reggae record. Arguably the peak of what his band would go on to do, although I might slightly prefer some later records. Really just track by track, even with the segregated sides of like the party, the fun side, and the political side. It's just all throughout incredible jamming. Bob Marley is a fantastic singer and lyricist. Really, I just got nothing to add. It's groove on groove on groove and just great grooves. So my winner for 1977 going to be Exodus by Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Wow. Okay. Well, big surprise coming up here then. Honorable mentions. David Bowie showing up time and time again, except here he's producing. Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. Probably Iggy's best album as a solo artist. And although I do like The Idiot a lot, but I think this is just a little better. It's certainly more approachable, poppier. The title track alone, Susie and the Banshees did a good cover of this song. It's but I like Iggy's the best, obviously. It's Bowie trying to rehabilitate Iggy, and working and succeeding. And I think this was also done while they were overcoming their addiction to cocaine and heroin in Germany. So this was a comeback album for Iggy, and it's a wonderful album. Talking Heads, 77. It's a it's a fantastic album, and it's just the trio. It's just Tina Weymouth and Chris France and David Byrne. Jerry Harrison hadn't joined yet. So it's a very efficient, tight. Uh, I suppose this Talking Heads also lumped in with post punk, but I don't find them to be that way.
Uh,
And they're closer than yeah, they're the closest to that, but I still don't think of them within that genre. Even though they played, they played with the Ramones and Blondie at CBGB's television. They were all, basically rotating house bands through the Mud Club and CBGB's. But even then, the Talking Heads stood out, I think. So did Blondie at that time, but Talking Heads really stood out. Yes, it's herky jerky and they've got angular rhythms, and it's David Byrne at his idiosyncratic best, I think. Everything from Psycho Killer uh, um, to the final track, Pulled Up, is it's just straight ahead. Quirky pop is the only way I can describe it. The book and Don't Worry About the Government and New Feeling and Uh-Oh, Love Comes to Town. Goofy, there's, the lyrics aren't deep. This is David Byrne. So the very obtuse, but definitely a proto new wave and art punk, more than even post punk, I think. Then you got the Congos, the Heart of the Congos, just a fantastic dub album. It's roots reggae at its best. And there's going to be two reggae albums on my list because we're going to overlap here. Next is Parliament, Funkateliki versus the Placebo Syndrome. Man, Parliament were on fire at this time. You got Bernie Worrell on keys and synths, and you've got Bootsy Collins on bass, and Maceo Parker. The lineup here is just stellar. Just funk royalty through and through. Plus, you got the song Flashlight. It's a killer track. Last is David Bowie Heroes. And the very same year, my number five, that's the end of my honorables. Number five is going to be David Bowie Low. They're really it's a pair. Recorded, released in the same year. Um, they are part of his Berlin trilogy. Although Lodger gets lumped in with that as well, and he wasn't even living in Berlin at the time. But Lodger sort of has the same feel of these. But these are the two best of those three. And in particular, I love Low so much. It's half instrumental, half vocal. None of it is straight ahead. This is very art rock. And you can hear Kraftwerk's influence on Bowie at this point. He was living in Berlin, obviously, and both the Krautrock, the Walker Brothers, surprisingly, and Kraftwerk in particular, were really having a big influence on Bowie at this time. Also, Brian Eno is an assertive, influential force here as well. And you can hear it. It's all over, and Robert Fripp. Those three guys, Bowie, Eno, Fripp together, fantastic. Wire, Pink Flag is my number four for the year. It's now here we are talking about post punk or art punk again. It's raw, it's straight ahead, but it's a very unique album in a couple of ways. For instance, all the songs are less than 3 minutes for the most part. I think the very first song, uh, Reuters is 3 minutes, 3 seconds. But otherwise, after that, they're all like a minute 20, 2:10. And they are just a model of efficiency. They they would take a melody and play it once and then completely change again. Because they just were into, if they found something good, they get through a verse or a chorus and then stop and shift to something completely different. And I just love that. Everything moves so fast in these songs, but everything is so catchy. It's a it's an amazing album. You've got Ex Lion Tamer and Lowdown. The guitar work on here, Pink Flag, the title track, just killer, Strange and Fragile and Mannequin. And all these tracks we're talking a minute 18 seconds, something like that. It's amazing. Just amazing. Anyway, I love Wire. They're gonna show up on my list later as well. For number three, Kraftwerk Trans Europe Express, hugely influential. Title track alone. You've got even excuse me, well, pre Nine Inch Nails, but you've got a proto sort of industrial track on this album besides the title track, which is metal on metal. And it's basically samples of gears and hammers and wrenches hitting metal, and they come up with this groovy rhythmic pattern to it. This is before grid layouts and Pro Tools and everything else. This was just doing it by, just doing it by hand, so to speak, doing it by synth. And it's an amazing album. Their melodies, uh, Ralph Hooter was such an amazing melodicist. He could just write hook after hook. These songs are filled with it. It's both, and I even like both the German and the English. It's a it's an amazing album, hugely influential. Kraftwerk. Steely Dan Asia is going to be number two. It's a fantastic album. People like to test their stereos out with this album. They like to show off their audiophile collection with this album, and the production, the mastering, the musicianship. They've got everybody. They've got Chuck Rainey and Bernard Purdy and Larry Carlton again, their go-to guy on guitar. Jeff Porcaro plays on this album. Oh my goodness. And you've got Josie and Peg, and Deacon Blues for your hits. And you've got Steve Gadd creating probably one of the greatest drum solos ever put on tape, in the title track Asia. It is an amazing album. There it is. Love it. Love it. Love it. My number one is the same as your number one. Bob Marley and the Wailers Exodus.
I have a
Love
feeling.
this album. Absolutely. Half social protest, half pure positive pop, and all done in a mastering of the form. Marley ruled reggae. I almost more than any other artist ruled their particular genre, I think. I love Peter Tosh, and there are a lot, obviously, the Congos love those guys. Lee Scratch Perry. I mean, I love a lot of reggae artists, but Bob Marley is just he just dominates. And Exodus, you're right, it's his peak. Um, you've some people have a problem with sequencing on this album. I don't get it. I You do kind of.
It doesn't
A
affect
little bit.
me, but I think on principle, I understand like the issue, like separating out your records in two different styles. Like I do get why that could be a turnoff for
Hmm.
some. It doesn't really impact me
Hmm.
too much though,
Yeah,
because
it
just the
doesn't. Yeah,
grooves
it
are so
doesn't me at all.
consistent.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the order of tracks here is great. I mean, Natural Mystic is such a great song. Title track, Exodus. And then you've got, and you've got all of these socially conscious songs on the front side. And then I think it can appear that it's backloaded, especially if you don't like those socially conscious songs, right? Because if you do like his his love songs and his straight ahead pop songs, uh done in reggae, but they're still the melodies are just they're they're some of the most amazing melodies ever written, and would fit in with any genre, I think. And then you've got that backside starting off with Jammin', probably is one of his biggest songs and one of his most popular. Waiting in Vain, Three Little Birds, One Love. This is like a greatest hits in a way. It's amazing. It's a fantastic album, and it's our number one. We agree on this, Adrian.
Yeah.
Very good.
I had a suspicion. I thought if it was going to happen in a year, it was going to be 77. And I could
Yep.
see it being 76 in the future, but we'll see whenever I ever listen to Science in the
Well,
Key,
we
right?
were close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've been close a couple of times now, but this is definitely actually hitting it is probably the closest we're ever going to get. And seeing my next,
Exodus is undeniable. That's why.
except for Jason. And that I don't, looking at my winners for these next 2 years, I don't see it happening again. I don't see too much
May
overlap.
yeah, may not.
Oh, well,
I think there'll be some. We've had a surprising amount of overlap,
a
though, I
little bit,
think,
a little
this decade.
for sure. But yeah, that was fun. So I hope that you all have a good one and stick around for 1978.